Just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. Maybe using a line from an infamous mafia film is a tad on the nose when talking about Ginault, a brand steeped in about as much controversy as a Downing Street birthday party. However, that very film still has people pulled in because despite how unsavoury the characters might be, it remains a masterpiece in storytelling. Just to clarify, I am talking about The Godfather and not the Downing Street birthday parties. Okay, so the Ocean Rover II. A watch that might actually top the IMDb list for controversial timepieces, were that actually a thing, and it's also one that many watch enthusiasts openly say they hate, whilst also being a watch that very few people seem to have had their hands on. I must admit, I was one of those people who was a little bit cynical. That was until my desire to have a Rolex Submariner overcame me, but didn't overcome me to the extent that I'd ever buy a replica. Come on, even after 6-7 months away, surely you didn't think things had got that bad, did you? Okay, so ignoring the elephant in the room, that being the brand's decidedly murky origin story, which plenty have covered in depth and which I'm not going to go into here because I think we all know what I'm talking about. Disregarding all of that, this is a fantastic watch. Okay, like all watches, it does have its flaws, many of which you may already be listing in your head right now. I've basically alluded to them myself. But let's talk for now about what makes this watch stand out, even if it is, in your eyes, just another Submariner homage. The thing that immediately struck me was just how luxurious and high quality this thing feels. It's heavy but not overbearing. The finishing on the bracelet is up there with some of the best Swiss entry-level brands at this price point. I'm thinking Oris, Longines, Tag Heuer, Tudor. Yep, I said it, Tudor, my beloved Tudor. The clasp has a fantastic glide lock mechanism, which makes getting a perfect fit effortless. I mean, no prizes for guessing who they got that idea from. It snaps into place though with a satisfying click, and the only letdown here is that the clasp is unsigned, meaning that whilst it doesn't bear the crown that might give this away as a fake, it has a sterile quality that makes the bracelet feel maybe a bit like an off-the-shelf choice. The head of the watch, however, feels anything but off the shelf. So let's go to my favourite part of any dive watch, the bezel. As I'm sure you can hear, very much like the clasp, it almost glides with the perfect amount of resistance, and it has consistent audible clicks. The only thing I can compare this to really is the real deal itself. It aligns perfectly and, being ceramic, it won't scratch up. But that ceramic bezel insert is also one of my problems with this watch. Ginault's golden sand lume is absolutely beautiful, and given the fact that this watch pays homage to a much older Rolex reference, basically at its heart, it has somewhat vintage DNA. But the shiny, flashy ceramic bezel contradicts this, and because it isn't that inky jet black that you see on the dial, it sometimes looks like a gunmetal grey, and it really stands out in certain lights, and not in a good way. If you're going to go for one of these, I'd get an aluminium bezel, which is more in keeping with the kind of vintage aesthetic. Moving on to that dial then, and this is so dark that it looks like you're staring at one of those Dementors from Harry Potter, or straight into the soul of Jacob Rees-Mogg. Either way, the anti-reflective coating on the sapphire crystal, combined with the beautiful abyss of that dial lacquer, makes this legible in almost any condition. It's a shame that whoever did design the dial layout was also hell-bent on using it as a platform to start their first novel. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times, it was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness, yada yada yada. In short, too many lines of text. Brevity is the soul of wit and all that. Bit rich coming from me, let's face it. But anyway, that broad sword hand and the maxi style indices sitting atop of that Kraken-like dial make it a very legible watch, but one that unfortunately isn't that legible after dark. In the daylight, the golden sand lume glistens and shines with an iridescence that is at once captivating and distracting. But after dark, the green glow isn't as immediately potent nor as long lasting as traditional C3 superluminova. That said, you'll be looking at this more under glaring light anyway, either to enjoy that diamond speckled golden sand lume formula, or because some Rolex fanboy is interrogating you to find out where you sourced this particular Cyclops. Look at that thing. So few watches are enhanced by the use of a Cyclops date magnifier. Almost none, in fact. They're almost always a bit lackluster, and something that I'd prefer wasn't attempted. It's like David Dunn attempting a Rabona. Whilst a watch might do the simple stuff well, some of those things that only the very, very best pull off, when attempted by lesser mortals, just look like, well, this. Fortunately, Ginault have absolutely smashed it. The date wheel has also been colour matched to those indices, so you don't get any jarring discrepancy when you do go to check the date. It just makes it feel more nicely balanced even if you're not into a date complication. That date complication comes courtesy of this being a COSC worthy, but crucially not COSC certified, Sellita SW200-1. It's been regulated by Ginault, hence why the wordsmith slapped the word chronometer on the dial, and you get a sheet detailing the movement's accuracy in different positions, and this one is running excellently. It's probably just about the right movement in a watch that costs $1,499. However, with some brands in and around this price point making use of the Sellita SW300-1 to capitalise on that 56-hour power reserve, it'd be nice to see that here as well. 38 to 42 hour power reserves in watches are becoming a little uninspiring, even more so when you have pieces like Christopher Ward's Sealander GMT boasting a 56-hour power reserve and excellent finishing at a similar price. Click the link above to see my video on that one. All this being said, the main question you'll be asked, and one I'm sure many of us enthusiasts have been asked regardless of how much or how little our watch actually looks like a Rolex is that a Rolex? As you can probably tell in this review so far, it's a lot of this is good, but this is bad. There are drawbacks. Normally you can explain away any similarities or differences, and you know that your watch, be it a Rolex or not, has a story or a history you associate with it that makes it feel authentic. Whilst this watch doesn't ape modern Rolex Submariners like say San Martin or Chronos do, and whilst the finishing is honestly exceptional, as is the clarity of that crystal, if only the same could be said of the brand, whose mystery and mystique some might find appealing, but given how damaging some reports and stories linked to the brand have been, it would have been nice, coupled with exceptional watches, if Ginault could make their history a little less opaque, plus their process, how the company came to be, and etc, etc. If you can get around that, this is honestly an exceptional watch. But please, Ginault, let's have a little bit more transparency. After all, this is La Cosa Nostra, or our thing. Thanks so much for watching, it's great to be back. Sorry I've been away so long, I was writing the Sue Gray report. Please do subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and click on the bell icon if you want to be notified and you want me to haunt your dreams every single night, or not. Anyway, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.